Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you for joining me on YouTube for another practice today. So we're going to be doing a strong and stretchy flow. I would recommend that this is suitable for someone with an existing yoga practice. There will be some stronger elements in there and kind of challenging transitions. So just checking in with as well whether this is the practice for you today. There are gentle practice on this, more gentle practices on this channel as well, so that I can offer you a combination of both. Now today there is going to be an opportunity to work into some splits, but don't be put off if you're nowhere, that's not in your practice, you're nowhere near working into that, it's just going to be an option. So we will start today in a kneeling position and just make sure that you have any blocks or props that you need to support you. I really recommend having blocks today, this brick style block, so these thick sturdy ones. If you don't have them, then you can use something else that you've got around the house that's suitable. So come into your kneeling position. And we'll just bring the hands to the thighs, close off the eyes. And start to inhale through the nose. And check in with your breath. Start to observe any thoughts passing through the mind. Becoming the observer, the watcher. And I offer you to have an intention for this practice today, and that can be something personal to you if you wish. Or you can have the intention with me, which is, I am enough. I am enough. Being here is enough. Showing up for this practice is enough, whatever happens during the practice. The body that you're in is enough. And take an inhale through the nose, and then on your exhale, breathe out through the mouth as a releasing breath. Just letting go of anything that came before this practice, anything that might come after it. And then opening the eyes when you're ready. And we'll take some wrist flicks, one of my favorites. So shake it all out. Releasing any energy, getting things moving. And then bring the fingertips down to the mat. Inhale, reach the left arm up to the sky, lift up and out from the waist. As you exhale, come into a stretch. Left side body stretching open, heart and gaze shining towards the ceiling. Exhale, release the left hand back down. Inhale, right hand comes up. Lift the ribs away from the hips. Exhale, come into your stretch. Breathing here. And release the right hand back down. And then bring the left hand to the right knee or thigh. Right hand comes out behind. Inhale, make space. Exhale, twist to the right. Follow with the gaze. As you inhale, keep making that space. And as you exhale, sinking into your twist. Release back to center. Right hand comes over to the opposite side. Left hand comes out behind. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. And release. And we'll bring the legs out in front. So reaching the feet out, flex the feet, start with a neutral spine. Inhale, reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. Exhale, lead with the chest, folding forwards. Hands could be coming down the legs, maybe they're coming to the feet. Coming into your Paschimottanasana. Remembering this is the beginning of the practice, so we're just gently opening into the body. Keep leading with the chest bone. One more breath. Inhale, come up from the fold and bring yourself into tabletop position now. And then from here, grounding through this left hand, we're going to open out. So right leg's lengthened, foot's coming to the ground. Reach this right arm up. It can either be reaching to the ceiling or coming by the ear, coming into modified Vashisthasana. So breathing here to begin with, opening through the right side body. And then we lift this right foot away from the mat. And see if you can bend that right leg. Float the right arm behind, and maybe this right hand finds the right foot or ankle and start to press the hips forwards and feel this juicy opening through the front of the body. We're also stretching through this hip flexor, a little bit of spinal extension. So breathing here, working with some balance and stability as well. And then with control, release that right leg and see if you can float this right leg around to the top of the mat and find a low lunge. No worries if it hasn't happened exactly as mine just has. Meet there in your low lunge. Breathing here, check that front knees in line with the ankle. Lifting up and out from the waist on your inhales. And then start to shift the hips back. Bring the right toes away from the mat. Come into your half split. Keep the spine long. Right foot's flexed. And then we'll undulate here. So as you inhale, finding a little bit of lift. As you exhale, folding. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold. And then shift the weight back into that front leg, plant the hands down and draw your right leg back to tabletop position. Coming on to the other side, so ground through the right hand. Find your modified Vashisthasana. So left leg is lengthened this time. Breathing here, just breathing into that stretch through the left side body. Allowing the body to open. And then reach the left foot away from the mat. Take a bend through this left leg and see if you can reach the left hand around and find the ankle. And we start to take this opening. So pressing the hips forwards. Breathing here. Breathing into any wobbles and shakes. And then with control, release that left leg. And can you pivot and start to draw this left foot around to the top of the mat so that it's in line with this right hand, and finding that low lunge on the left side. So left leg's at the front. Breathing here. On your inhales, lift up and out from the waist, lengthening the spine. And then we'll shift the hips back, flexing the left foot, finding a bit of length through that left leg, coming into our half split. No worries if there is some bend in the left leg, that's absolutely fine. Be where you need to be. And then coming to the fingertips, we'll start to undulate. So inhale, make space. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthening the spine, lifting the chest. Exhale, folding. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. And shift the weight back into that left leg, plant the hands down, sweep it back to your tabletop position. Then tuck the toes under. And from here, see if you can take a little hop in. And we're going to curl the body up to standing. Rounding the spine, peeling the body up, lifting that head up last, meeting in your Tadasana mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up to the sky, lift your ribs away from your hips. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forwards, forward fold. Fold forwards, forward fold, same thing. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, find your halfway lift. Exhale, float the hands down, step the feet back, meeting in plank. And we move through our sun salutation A. I'm going to do the modified version for this first one. So lowering the belly down to the mat. Inhale, rolling the shoulders back, peel the chest away, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, release the chest back down to the ground. And on the exhale, sending the hips to the sky, finding your downward facing dog. You can take a pedal out through the feet here. Just moving into the backs of the legs. Opening into the body and remembering our intention for this class. And I set this intention with this class in mind, especially. Sometimes with these stronger practices, often our ego starts to take over. And sometimes just remembering that where you're at today is more than enough. Sometimes that helps us to come back into the present moment, to allow ourselves to accept, take away judgment, and enjoy the practice for what it is today. Inhale, send the gaze between the hands, jump or step the feet in, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky, grow the spine tall. Exhale, bring the hands through to heart center. And again, inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky. Ribs lifting away from the hips. Exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, draw the hands down to the mat, jump or step back, and then move through your vinyasa. So inhaling into your upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, send the hips back to downward facing dog. Option to take a releasing breath here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. So keep pressing the mat away from you with your hands and lifting the hips to the sky, finding that length. Inhale, gaze comes between the hands. Jump or step the feet in. Lift the chest and lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky. Crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands come back through your heart center. You may like to step the feet in a little closer together here, but take any adjustments that feel right for you. Inhale, sit the hips back, find your Utkatasana, your chair pose. Notice what the pelvis is doing here. Sometimes if we have a tilt of the pelvis, especially if we have an anterior tilt, sometimes we're sitting into the lumbar spine a little bit here. So find that engagement in the core. You might notice how my pelvis really changes as I engage the core. So lifting belly away from the thighs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest and lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw the hands down to the mat. Step or jump back. Find your plank position and Vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Starting to feel some warmth, some heat in the body. That's what these sun salutations are for. Just remember that child's pose is there. Child's pose is there for you at any time that you want to take it. Child's pose is what you need today, then that is enough. It's more than enough. So on your next inhale, sweep this left leg up to the sky, find your three-leg dog. You can open through the hip here as much as you want. And then we'll start to bring this left leg through between the hands as we shift the shoulders above the wrists. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up to the sky, find your warrior one. Breathing here. Now we open out into warrior two. Sending the gaze over the left fingertips and flip the left palm to face the ceiling. And inhale, lift up and out of the waist, come into your peaceful warrior. Juicy stretch through the left side body. Both the legs are staying activated here. I'm not putting weight into my right leg with this right hand. It's just a gesture of it resting there. And then we're going to exhale, release. Float these hands around, so we're drawing this right heel away, so as if we're coming into a high lunge. And then we're gonna bring the weight into the left leg, float these hands down. The hands could come to blocks here, or you're walking these fingertips in and we're finding our standing split. So this right leg's reaching up to the sky. My forehead's coming towards my left shin, but that's just a gesture. You could be with the hands on blocks and you could be working here. So breathing. And then everybody walk your hands away from that leg. This left hand or the left fingertips can either be coming to the ground or a block. And then we're going to reach the right fingertips up to the sky. Find your half moon pose. Well done for staying with me, breathing here. Remember, you can come in and out as many times as you need to. And then, option here, just an option. Bend this right leg. Can you find the right foot or ankle with that right hand and press? So like we did in the beginning, finding that opening through the body. And release. Drop this right leg back down to the mat. Come back to your plank position. And Vinyasa. Inhale. Coming through your upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, come back to downward facing dog. Take another releasing breath. Lifting the hips to the sky. Perhaps you're connecting to your Ujjayi breathing here, ocean breath, whatever works for you. This time on the inhale, the right leg comes away and sweeps up to the sky. Find your three-legged dog. Option to open through the hips. Just make sure to keep the shoulders really nice and strong so we're not really dropping into the shoulders, one of the shoulders more than the other here. Try and keep them both nice and strong. Now we sweep this right leg through, step it between the hands. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky. Find your warrior one. Breathing here. Open out into your warrior two. Send the gaze over the right fingertips. Relax the shoulders. And then flip your right palm up to the sky. Inhale, lift up and out from the waist, reverse warrior. Stretching through the right side body. Keeping this left hand light on the left thigh. Breathing. Exhale, coming away from your reverse warrior. Float these hands around. Bring the left heel away from the mat. So you're in this high lunge position. And then see if you can power through. Bring the hands down. Come into your standing split. So again, you could bring your hands to blocks. You could be walking the hands in, drawing that forehead to the right shin. You take that right hand around the back of the leg if that feels good too. These are all just options. There's no right or wrong. And releasing, walking the hands out here. You can drop that back leg down a little if that feels good too. Bring the right hand or fingertips to the ground or a block. Find your half moon. Reach the left fingertips up to the sky. Breathing. Breathing into any wobbles, any shakes. All part of this beautiful practice. And then either staying with the half moon, or you can add on here and bend this left leg, maybe the hand finds the foot or the ankle, and see if you can just press into that hand, finding that opening. Breathing here. It's a strong place to be. Well done. Release with control. Step the left leg back. Step the right leg back. Find your plank position and Vinyasa. Inhaling, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Take a moment to check in. Do you need a child's pose? Just really connecting to what your body's communicating to you. Maybe you're feeling a heat and a fire in the body and that feels really good. Maybe there's an element of frustration. Sometimes balances can bring that out, and there's no judgment on that, just being aware. On your next inhale, step or jump the feet in towards the hands. Lift the chest, lengthen the spine, find your halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Draw that belly button in towards the spine. Sitting the hips back, legs squeezing in together, drawing energy up from the ground. Exhale, release back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Well done. Just stay here for a moment. Bring these hands into your heart center, just gently pressing them in to the chest. You can close off the eyes if that feels good too. Just take a moment to absorb the energy you've built. Open the eyes back up if you had them closed. And from here, I'm going to ground through this right foot. Step the left foot back, find a high lunge. From your high lunge, start to drop the left knee down to the mat and release the toes, so we're back in a low lunge. Now see how this low lunge is feeling. You could have blocks to support you, and you could be working here and taking some breaths here. Now we've opened up into the legs quite a lot today, so I'm going to offer, if you're working with your splits, to come into that now. So the progressions are really handy to have your blocks here. So it might be that you have your blocks on this high setting on either side, and you are working into your split, something like this. What we want is to keep those hips shining forwards, and this back thigh is really tucked under. So it might be that you're working on your splits here and it's looking something like this, okay? The next progression would be bring the blocks down to a lower setting and have the hands resting here, or you can be taking the blocks away, bringing the fingertips to the mat and coming into your split here. Just being mindful that we're not forcing anything. Just listen to the body, stay in the low lunge, coming back to our intention of being enough. Inhaling and exhaling. One more breath on this side. And then you can either use your blocks. So I quite like to use the blocks to come away, but easing out of that half split or full split, coming back to your low lunge, and then tuck the left toes under, and we're going to power back up to the high lunge now, and then open out into your wide leg stance and point the toes forwards from here. Start with a neutral spine. Inhale, reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. Exhale, hinge from the hips, keeping the spine long. Fold forwards, Prasarita Padottanasana. An option to walk the hands through. Maybe the hands are coming in line with the feet. You can take the peace fingers to the big toes. Let the elbows come out to the side. If you're higher up, then work there. See what feels right for you. Bring the hands back to the hips. Inhale, lift the chest. Spine staying long. Coming back up to center. And then we're going to pivot over into a high lunge on this left side. So left leg's at the front. Finding a high lunge here. Now from here, we drop this back knee down. Make sure that you've got your blocks to hand. So finding the low lunge to begin with, and it could be that you're quite happy working on your low lunge here. The next option is, again, having some really strong blocks is important here to have the brick style. If you've got the really spongy ones, then that might be less secure. So just be really, really careful, okay? So you could be working with your splits here, or maybe coming further down, but just making sure that this back thigh is tucking underneath. So if you're quite open in the hips, this right hip could be really opening up into the side, as you can see I'm doing here. What we want is for the hips to actually be square as possible. So sometimes that might mean coming higher up and taking an adjustment. Inhaling and exhaling. Quite often one side with the splits, you have a good side and a not so good side. So just take different options on each side if you need to. And taking one more breath. Wherever you are. And starting to come out, and you can use the blocks like me to come out, or come out however you want to. So coming back, and we meet in the low lunge. Tuck your back foot under. Power up to your high lunge. We are coming down to the mat in a minute. So stay with me. Come back to your wide leg stance. So toes pointing forward again, hands to hips. Inhale, lift your ribs away from your hips. Exhale, fold forwards. Melting down. Hands, these fingers come around the big toes, if that feels good too. Folding here. And then releasing the hands, bringing them back to the hips. Inhale, lift the chest. And then bring the feet together so that they're slightly further than hip width apart. And we'll start to bend through the knees, float down. I've just heard my ankle have a little click. Into your Malasana. Now you could be up on your toes. Just reaching the crown of your head to the ceiling. Engage Mula Bandha, engage the pelvic floor. Muscles at the seat of the pelvis. And then release the hips down to the mat. Bring your legs into a wide leg position. Does not matter how wide they come. Just whatever feels comfortable for you. Not trying to come to our kind of maximum here. So important to keep these thighs facing the sky. And we're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, folding forwards, leading with the chest. And you could be staying higher up, taking some breaths here. You can be coming lower down. If you're coming completely down, you can come there. So wherever feels good for you. I'm going to take a couple of breaths here. Inhale, start to slowly come away from the fold. We're going to draw those legs back into center. I want you to give the legs a really big hug and drop your forehead down towards your knees. And you can close the eyes or take a steady gaze. Rounding the spine, opening into the back of the neck. Coming back to the intention for this practice. I am enough. Inhale, I am, and exhale, enough. On your next inhale, just gently lift the head back up, opening the eyes. If you have time to, I really recommend coming into a Shavasana or a meditation here. If you're ready to close off the practice, then just coming back into the physical body. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that practice. Do feedback to me on how you're getting on, and let me know if you have any requests, feedback, whatever it is. I really want to hear from you. So yeah, do subscribe to this channel. There's a link below to my membership and to the other things that I offer. So do check that out. And I can't wait to see you again very soon.